How hard is it to pedal an electric bike without the electric motor on? Stick around to find out. Hey everyone, I'm Dustin. I have nearly 20 years experience in the bike and e-bike industry, and today I'm gonna demonstrate to you how difficult it is to pedal an electric bike without the motor on. Now, before we get into it, hit that subscribe button below, stay in touch with us here at 630, and be the first to know about all the new content we're putting out, giveaways we're doing, and of course, new product releases. All right. I've got 3 different types of e-bikes right here. This is the 630 Zip and Fold. This is a 20-inch fat tire foldable e-bike. I've got the simple step-through cruiser hybrid with the low step-through. This has a 2.125-inch tire by 26 inches. And this is the Ride in the Park city e-bike here. And I just want to make sure I get the tire size exactly right. And this is a 700 by 38C. So I've got the e-bikes arranged here from thinnest to fattest tire. And the reason for that is because when we talk about how difficult it is to pedal an electric bike without the electric, there's a few different elements that are going to play into that. So number one, if the bike is a geared bike, or a non-geared bike. When you talk about gears, we're talking about gears that are only pertaining to the standard bicycle element of an e-bike. So all 3 of these e-bikes here are actually 7-speed external derailleurs that are shifted up here on the handlebars. These 2 e-bikes are twist throttles. This one is actually a trigger shift. Trigger shift just means you push a trigger to go up, trigger to go down. This is a twist throttle. You twist up to shift up, twist down to shift down. Now, not all electric bikes have gears. A lot of them are single speeds. There's a couple popular brands out there that on some of their most popular models are actually single speed bikes, meaning you only have 1 gear on that bike. Now, again, that gear or the gears are not linked to the electric motor in any way. When you're shifting, you're actually shifting the gears on the bicycle element in itself. However, the gears are important because if you're either going to pedal without the electric or even in pedal assist, having the range of gears makes it easier to align the gear to your pedal assist level. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, if you are in level 1 on your pedal assist, it's good to be in a lower gear, meaning like 1, 2, or 3, because it'll be easier to pedal in those gears and you have it in the lowest amount of assistance. As you increase the assistance, you want to increase the resistance on the bike because you're gonna go faster, you wanna have more resistance. If you had less resistance, you'd be pedaling faster than the motor is moving you. And so in essence, your pedaling would do almost nothing. Now, when you talk about riding your electric bike without the assist on, having gears, especially on hills, is going to make it so much easier. And even on flat ground, having that range of gears is just going to allow you to find the right gear at the right moment. It's just like a bicycle, right? If you have a small hill to climb, you could go into gear 2, gear 3. If you have a big hill to climb, then you want to be in gear 1. If you're going max speed and you want to go as fast as possible, go to your top gear. In this case, it would be 7th. If you just have 1 gear, you have no range. You have that 1 gear for your flat ground riding and hill riding. So when you talk about riding your e-bike without assist, if you have an e-bike or you're looking at an e-bike that has 1 speed, just know that e-bike is going to be relatively difficult to pedal on flat ground without any assistance at all. Now, coupled with that, if you have something like this with fat tires, whether it's a 26 or a 20-inch, it's going to be even more difficult to pedal if you only have 1 gear. The reason being, now, this is a 20-inch fat tire. If you have a 26-inch fat tire, that's gonna be even more challenging to pedal without the assistance of the motor. Now, on flat ground, you're not going to feel it as much. If you're just cruising around at 3 to 5 miles an hour, the tire size won't impact you that much, and you'll be able to ride flat ground at a casual pace, no problem. But as you want to try to pick up the pace, you're gonna feel the resistance with those big tires because there's a lot of rubber contacting the road and it's gripping, they're heavier, and you're gonna have to put in more effort. Now, if you also have a fat tire that's a 26-inch and you only have one speed, that is going to be very challenging to pedal without the assistance. A lot of e-bikes or a lot of e-bike brands, there's a few different philosophies I see with the design, and a lot of them design their e-bikes with the assumption that most people will always be running some level of pedal assist. And I think that's true in particular for a lot of fat tire e-bikes, mainly because if you're going to pedal without the assistance, it's going to be challenging. More challenging than something like this on the left-hand side with a very thin tire, the least amount of resistance, a much lighter tire, gonna be very easy to pedal comparatively to a big fat tire. So you are seeing a lot of fat tires out there on e-bikes, but again, if you have any desire to use your e-bike in combination of no power and a little bit of power, just know it will be more challenging or almost impossible in some circumstances that I'm gonna demonstrate as well, to not use the assistance. So when we talk about hills in particular, with a fat tire e-bike, even like this 20-inch, getting up hills is going to be very challenging without the assistance on. Now, when you move into these two tires, we got a 2.125, which is obviously about halfway between a 4-inch tire. Now, these are 3-inch fat tires. You're commonly seeing a lot of 4-inch fat tires out there as well, which again will be even more challenging. The other thing to look at is this is a slick tread. There's more knobby tires out there that will be even more difficult to pedal because the tread is bigger and bulkier. So it's important that when you choose your e-bike, you think about how you're gonna use it, if you are gonna wanna use it without assistance, because if you do have the vision or desire to ride your electric bike without assistance, it's something you want to consider in terms of the specs. So this is a 2.125-inch tire. It's going to be a little bit easier, or actually pretty significantly easier to pedal than this 20-inch. The other thing too is this is a 20-inch tire, so you're going to have to make more rotation on the pedals to make a full, to make as much of a rotation with this tire as you would with this one. So it's not gonna be a 2-to-1 pedal ratio, but about 1.5 pedal strokes is gonna get you the distance of turning this tire once. So you're gonna more easily cover ground manually on a 2.125-inch tire than you are on a 20-inch tire. Now, in addition to that, or lastly, you've got the 700 by 38C tire. This one's really thin and also feels really zippy with or without the electric, and you can definitely feel the difference pedaling it. There's just very little resistance, very little rubber contacting the road, and pedaling this feels quite a bit easier than either of these two e-bikes actually. So your tire size, your tire tread is really gonna dictate how difficult or hard and how many gears you have. Now, the other piece of that is also how are your gears, the ratio of your gears, meaning how big is your front chain ring, which is up here, this large circle chain ring in the front, and your sprocket sizes in the rear. If you have a very large front sprocket and a very small rear sprocket, it's going to be very difficult to pedal. These types of e-bikes, and I see a lot of them that are 20-inch fat tires, they have very large front sprockets, smaller rear sprockets, and they're single speeds. Those are really geared for the top end speed, meaning they're trying to make it more difficult to pedal so you can have a good cadence between your pedaling and level assist 5. So again, with a single speed with a huge front sprocket and a small rear sprocket, it's going to be more difficult to pedal without any assistance, but it may feel better when you have it in the highest level of assistance because you're going to really be matching. So they're geared more for the top end speed than they are for the low end speed. And it seems contradictory to say that you would want to gear an electric bike for slow conditions or a slow pace, but some riders like to cruise without the assistance and take a more easy pace. A lot of riders are also going to take on hills or smaller hills, may want to put that effort in themselves and keep it in a gear like a easier to pedal one, first gear. If it has multiple gears like a 1 through 7, may want to keep it in first gear and have it be easier to get up hills. Those types of e-bikes that are geared with one speed and a huge front chain ring, without assistance will be nearly impossible to get up hills. The other thing too is, when you talk about these e-bikes that are geared for, or not geared great for riding without the assistance on, you're definitely going to drain the battery on these faster, because you're going to want to always have your e-bike in some level of assistance. Even like the zip and fold here, I would say most people are going to want to leave this in a pedal assist 1 or 2 for the majority of your riding. You can turn it off completely, and I will show you can ride without it. Hills will just be more challenging. So as a result, if you're running that battery more, you're going to drain the battery quicker. Something like these two e-bikes with a little bit of a thinner tire, again, battery's not going to drain as easily, and you'd be, more comfortable riding longer distances without the motor on an e-bike like this versus something like this. All right, now we'll do a quick demonstration. I'm just going to do a ride in our parking lot right here on some flat ground and kind of talk you through just how difficult or easy it is. So going to start off here with the zip and fold. I'm going to wheel it up here and just show you up close some of the elements. So zip and fold is really geared mostly to be an electric bike. And as a result, you can see we've put a bigger chain ring on the front here, which again is generally going to make most of the gears harder to pedal. The idea here is that we can pedal or have more resistance, get the bike up to faster speeds, and have a nice pedaling cadence around 20 miles an hour, where our pedaling is matching the assistance we're getting from the motor. Now, if you come up here as well, as I was talking about on our trigger shifter, so we have 7 speeds here, and so you can find the perfect gear. But with the bigger chain ring on the front, first gear is going to be more difficult to pedal on this e-bike than it would be on an e-bike with a smaller chain ring, which you'll find on our simple step through and our ride in the park. So just things to think about if you are gonna plan to ride without the motor pretty frequently. Okay, so let me go ahead and get on here. Now, I have the battery and everything on. In terms of flat ground, I have the battery installed. In terms of flat ground, you're not gonna notice a ton of difference between an e-bike and a regular bike unless you're trying to go faster. So if you're keeping your e-bike, if you're pedaling on your e-bike without assistance, like under 5 miles an hour, you won't find the difference. On something like this 20-inch fat tire, as you start to try to go faster without the assistance, you're really gonna start to notice, wow, this is more difficult. I feel the weight and the heaviness of the tires, and also the battery. You can always remove the battery if you plan to use it on a ride without assistance, the electric assistance. But again, so as I'm going slower, you'll notice less difference. As you try to go faster or climb hills, that's when you'll really notice the difference. Okay, so I'm in gear 1. I'm just gonna go ahead and pedal. And let me raise the seat. Okay, got the seat adjusted. So you can see, honestly, it doesn't feel difficult to me. Now, I do a fair amount of riding and I've built my leg strength up. Now, I do, it does feel like I have to make a lot of rotations because I have the smaller wheels, so I'm moving my feet a lot. And I'm in the first gear here, so this is the easiest gear to pedal, and I still definitely feel resistance, meaning it's still not super easy to pedal. Now, if I were to shift this all the way up, like that's really, gets a little bit harder to pedal. And this is where you would really want the pedal assist. Now, once I kind of get it up to pace, it gets a little bit easier. All right, so you can see all in all, not too bad. Would I want to do this for 5 miles? Probably not. Could I do it for a mile or two? Yeah, definitely. Okay, now let's move on to our 2.125 inch tire. Go ahead and show you this one. So you can see here, if you want to come take a look at the chain ring down here, you can see it's pretty significantly smaller than the chain ring that was on the simple step through. So this one's going to be easier to pedal in all gears, including first gear. And we have a twist throttle up here. So still have the same 7 gears, just a different shifting mechanism. Okay. Now again, I'm only talking about e-bikes with gears. So I don't have an e-bike with just a single speed to demonstrate, but I would say typically if it's a single speed, it's probably going to feel pretty similar to 5th, 6th, or 7th gear on the Zip and Fold, because the way they gear those single speeds, like I said, is it's to be harder to pedal so you can have a good cadence when you have the motor fully engaged. So they will be fairly difficult to pedal. All right, so simple step through, you can see this bike feels like a normal bike. Again, we have the battery on the back, and I'm in 5th gear right now. So it's a little bit more challenging, but significantly easier to pedal. And I can go ahead and shift this all the way down into 1st. And yeah, so I don't have to turn my feet quite as much to get the tires rotating. And in 1st gear on this bike, it's much, much easier. And the nice thing is you still have the cushy tires, you know, they're not as wide. So again, not too bad at all, pretty easy. And really, it maneuvers just like a normal bike. Okay. All right, now moving on to the 3rd and final one, the ride in the park. So this one is geared the same way as the simple step through. So the feel of how it pedals will be the same in that regard, but the thinner tires will be much easier to turn over. Same thing with a twist shifter up here. So let me go ahead, get on it. And I'm in 1st gear right now. There we go. And so I would say slightly easier to pedal than the simple step through. Not a drastic difference because the gear ratio is the same, but I will say the tires do turn a little bit easier just because of how thin they are. And also the riding position, it's a little bit zippier. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take these e-bikes now to a hill, and we're gonna demonstrate if I can ride them up a hill without having the assistance on. Okay, we're gonna start on the Zip and Fold, our 20-inch fat tire. We're gonna go up this hill right here. You'll see as we round the corner what it looks like. I've ridden this hill before in videos. A lot of people like to say it's not a real hill, but it's a pretty challenging hill. You know, are there more challenging hills? Sure, of course there are, but it's pretty long. It's got a decent grade to it. And, you know, with the power on, we can zip up it. The other thing I'll say is I'm a bigger guy. I'm 220 pounds, but I do cycle quite a bit. I'm on the Peloton 5-6 days a week. So I feel fairly confident in my leg strength where I can, you know, I can get a bike up a hill. So we'll see how I can do with 0 assist up this hill right here. And you can see my screen right here. It's off, no power on. I've got it in 1st gear. So let's give it a rip. All right, so straight away, definitely challenging. Not gonna lie. I'll see how long I can go without getting out of the pedals. But it is not easy. We got our camera person there. Pedal assist. Oh God. I'm gonna stand up. Okay. All right, let's see. A little bit challenging to stand up on this one. I just realized I have to do this 3 times. Whoo! Oh boy. Oh boy. Keep trucking. Oh. Okay. Oh. Yeah, first gear is not easy on this bike. Oh gosh. Oh. Okay. All right. Oh. Oh. Oh, yeah. See, with that big chain ring, it feels like I want more. Okay. I'm putting the pedal assist on. With that big chain ring, it feels like there should be a lower gear, or it should be easier to pedal, but it's not. Because like I said, it's really geared for the top end speed. Oh, I'm winded. Okay. Oh. All right, now let's go back down and I'll give it a shot with the thinner tires. Okay, so definitely a challenge on the 20-inch zip and full with the 3-inch wide tires. I had to work pretty hard there, not gonna lie. And I was excited to get that pedal assist turned on. So we're gonna move to simple step through with the 26-inch by 2.125. So we're knocking about an inch off the width. I think it's gonna help significantly. Also, first gear on this is gonna be easier to pedal. We got a little smaller chainring on the front here. So let's go ahead and give this a rip. Oh yeah, I can tell you already, just much easier on this initial incline. Now, not easy by any means, but easier. Oh, my legs are burning from the last ride. All right, here we go. All right, I might have to stand up here any second. Let's see. So much easier though. Oh, can I do it? I'm gonna stand a little bit. Oh, okay. Way easier, but still hard. Okay. All right, did it. Okay. Whew. Okay. Let's get a little juice here. Okay. Okay. Still winded, but much, much easier. Back down for the third and final bike. It's quite the workout. Okay. All right. All right, we got our third and final bike here, the Ride in the Park with our 38C, 700 by 38C. So 700 centimeters by 38, or no, millimeters actually. Well, don't quote me on that. 700 by 38C. 38 is the centimeters, which is the diameter. So I'm gonna go ahead and stretch my quads here a little bit in preparation. Okay. We are in first. I'm really hoping this is significantly thinner. So shaving off probably another 1/2 inch on the tire. All right. Whew, here we go. Oh. All right, feels okay. I mean, I'm so tired, but definitely feels like way less resistance. I feel like I'm covering this first half of the hill much quicker. Oh, I'm getting gassed. I'm tiring. Oh, way easier though. I gotta stand. Couldn't do it. Now, obviously. All right. Definitely easier. I'm just tired, but much easier in the first half of the hill. We'll head back to the office and recap. Okay. All right, well, I just took on that hill without the power on these 3 different e-bikes, the 20-inch by 3-inch, 26-inch by 22.125-inch, and the 30HC by 700. I'm tired. And I will say though, and I'm not just saying this, I definitely thought or felt it get progressively easier with the thinner tire. Now, I was just gassed out by the time I took the ride in the park here, but that first stretch of incline, it just felt so much easier. Without a doubt, the fatter tire is more challenging, and you feel that burn and that drag, especially going up a hill. Now, like I said, flat ground on slower speeds, you're not gonna feel it as much. If you start to try to go faster without the pedal assist, going this direction, you'll feel it a little bit more, obviously. So, you know, just think about your riding, how much you're gonna use the power without pedal assist, and what's conducive to, you know, your lifestyle and your bike rides. If you have any other questions at all, please put them in the comments section or reach out to us, the team at 630.com, or call us 310-982-2877. All 3 of these e-bikes are linked in the description below. And if you're searching for an e-bike, sorry, I'm winded. If you're searching for an e-bike and you don't know which one you're looking for, go to our website. We have a proprietary body fit quiz. You answer a few questions about your body and your life, and we'll recommend the perfect e-bike for you. In addition to that, we have a 30-day test ride your e-bike policy. If you don't love it in the first 30 days, send it back. No questions asked, no money out of your pocket. And we're gonna warranty everything for a year. Anything goes wrong in the first year, we'll take care of it. No questions asked, no money out of your pocket. Lastly, we have a Facebook group called 630 Pedalers. Join the group, ask existing members how they like their e-bike so you can get their input before you purchase. Then when you have yours, post in the group, make friends, and download our app, 630 Pedaler app, so you can track your rides and compete on the leaderboard. It's a ton of fun. So thanks for sticking around, and don't forget, it's your journey or experience. Enjoy the ride.